Filmed live in Canada, it's Jim's Record Party. Hello again, everyone. Welcome to Jim's Record Party. My name is James. So nice to have you with us today as we look at something special, an album that I am on. Yes, indeed, Summer Sound 71, this double album, gatefold, produced with the auspices of I believe with Fanshawe College facilities at the Ontario Arts Centre. Summer Sound 71, 34 younger people, I believe from 13 to 21, gathered from most of the province in auditions that were held. I know that Barry Whitcroft, my friend, and I, who played in Summer Sound 71, auditioned in Windsor. A lot of the people were from the Toronto area, some as far east as Ottawa. I know there was a young lady from Paris, Ontario, and Grant Hall, a fantastic 12-string guitar player, singer, who we had the pleasure of playing with, was from the Lakehead here in Ontario, Thunder Bay. 34 kids and 5 adults, I guess we would call them now, put this show together in a fine arts camp around the Gravenhurst area, as I recall, for about two and a half weeks, under the directorship of Dave Walden. David Walden was our musical director. He was from Toronto. He would go on to work with Ernie Coombs, Mr. Dressup, on the CBC. If you hunt out some of the later episodes for credit for Dave Walden, you will find his handsome bearded face on the Mr. Dressup show on CBC. Here he was our musical director. Basically a large course with a rock band underpinning with an alternate, I'll say alternate, used alternately on tunes, a horn section as well. There is a violin on this album. There was certainly a clarinetist on the tour. Several people were multi-instrumentalists and vocalists, galore. Basically 34 vocalists, along with many of them instrumentalists as well, many of them appearing on this album as well. I'm going to read out, ladies and gentlemen, if you'll bear with me, the names of the 34 people that took part in this, plus the 5 musical directors and our sound people, road directors, etc. Let me begin by, these are in alphabetical order, and I believe they go from the boys to the girls. Ray Allison, James Blondeau, Doug Cameron, Grant Hall, Alan Jones, Bob Kitt, Jack LeBay, Bill Major, Doug Mountain, John Mulvihill, I believe was the eldest, if not one of the eldest, at 21, a fantastic organist and flautist from Ottawa. Robin Newton-Smith, Jim Nash, Stephen O'Connor, Stephen Ostick, Enio Paula, Christy Dent. Ken Samard was a fantastic young drummer, I believe from the Toronto area. I'm not now sure, forgive me, Ken. One of the youngest participants, played his ass off, as everybody did on this tour. Barry Whitcroft, my friend, my late dear friend. Kathy Arthur, Audra Cessnillis, Lisa Dal-Bello. Yeah, is that name familiar, ladies and gentlemen? Here, the youngest of our group at 13, I believe. Julia Fear, Susan Gatke, Beverly Gravel, Patty Hill, Lynn McLaren, Brenda McGuigan, Maureen Moore, Emily Quatrin, Liz Randall, Jane C. Smiley, Diane Stephen, Joanna Vanderclay. Is her name familiar? Yes, should be. Sang with the late, great Miss Rita McNeil, among many others, I'm sure, and Wanda Walker. Judy Hardy was the assistant musical director and also the girl chaperone, as I recall. Pete Seaver was the manager / road manager. Dave Christiani was the assistant music director on the boys' side. Ken Mack was our sound man and van driver. And wonderful guy. And Dave Walden, as we've said, was the musical director. Now, they say in the liner notes also that this was produced at Sheridan College. Whether they are an affiliate with the Fanshawe College here further west and southwest, I do not know. The songs included Dave Walden's own original opening fanfare, Hello Ontario. This is a mix of tunes of the day and some original tunes. Oh Happy Day, the great gospel tune by Andre Crouch and the Disciples, I believe. Ringin' the Love was a feature of Lisa Dal-Bello, and I always assumed that was her original tune. She does a fantastic vocal on it with a chorus which involves the entire chorus. And then Johnny Lake, sung by James Blondeau, who was also from the Ottawa area, I believe. Kind of a Marty Robbins style tune, and he introduces it as such, a 1960s Western style tune that you might have heard on the radio at the time. Lovely tune with great support as well. Side 2 opens with the great Frank Zappa tune Road Ladies. The first time we hear the rock band on this album. They are fantastic, ladies and gentlemen. They're very good. I was fortunate to play guitar with that band. Then House of the Rising Sun, the rock band featuring Miss Johanna Vanderclay, and with a chorus also, I believe. Her voice, I believe she was 15 at this time, was mature, was you've heard me use the word, all caps, fantastic. What a soulful, soulful singer she was and is, I presume, to this day. From the Waterloo area, if I'm not mistaken. Then the trio of Grant Hall on 12-string guitar and vocals, and Barry Whitcroft, my friend, on guitar and vocals, and myself playing an original tune called Charlie Mackenzie. And then the side finishes with a tune called Lay Down, which I believe was a tune by Melanie, wasn't it? And forgive me, I've forgotten who the vocal was on that, and there are no credits on this album. For all its fine production and its fold-out art piece insert, there are no credits as to who sang what or who played what on what. Side 3 opens with Dreams. I believe that's a Buddy Miles tune, and introduced as such by our organist John Mulvihill. That's the rock band again, and this time with Miss Johanna Vanderclay singing just fantastically. Then a female vocal duo does One Tin Soldier, a popular tune of the day. Forgive me that I do not know your names. Rainy Night House, likewise, a duo. I believe Doug Cameron is singing and playing guitar, and there's a female vocal as well on it. And I don't know who that is. Forgive me. Then we do a send-up, basically, of the Jesus Christ Superstar soundtrack. It's just unwieldy. There are a couple of good spots on it. but things that could have perhaps been handled as solos or duos are bombed up into entire choral pieces, and that's just too much, I think, and was too much for 71, even though it was a much more, vibrant, explosive, big-hearted time, perhaps. Yeah, it was. Side 4 opens with Memphis Train. I think that's another Buddy Miles tune. I'm not positive. A scorcher, beautiful blues rock tune, covered here by Mr. Doug Cameron, who plays and sings, and he also takes a fantastic solo on Dreams. Yeah. If We Only Have Love, the Jacques Brel tune. Then the closing reprise of Hello Ontario, the Dave Walden original. Then we had an encore. We were lucky enough to play Keep the Customer Satisfied, the Simon and Garfunkel tune, which does not lend itself to a chorus whatsoever, in my view. Summer Sound 71 was kind of a cross between the Association and Up With People and the choir at your local youth group. Church, yeah. Very good. Everyone, as I say, played their ass off. Absolutely everyone was and is world class on this album. We all know Lisa Dal-Bello's name. Yes, Dal-Bello, we know her by. She may be the most famous name on this album, but was an equal amongst equals on this tour with 33 others from around the province of Ontario. And this is a great album. I've only seen one other post online regarding it by Ennio Paula himself. I believe was the clarinetist, that I referred to earlier, was a world-class accordionist, actually. He has a short post about it only, but refers to it. We covered between 4,000 and 5,000 miles. We lived on a Trailways bus. We had a wonderful driver. His name was Don. He really put up with us. I remember the 8 tracks at the time, of course, that we had on the bus that we listened to. Let It Be, Blue, Tumbleweed Connection. Am I going to forget the other 2? Yes, I probably am. I believe there were 5. I think I've remembered 3. 8 tracks that we played over and over and over again. Yeah, must have drove Dawn fairly nuts, and some of us it drove nuts at the time too. Carole King's Tapestry was number 4. Now I'm missing the one final number. We'll track that down, ladies and gentlemen, and update you on a further episode of Jim's Record Party. Thank you so much for being with us on this very selfish episode. This album that I'm on, Summer Sound 71, along with 33 other great musicians and vocalists and songwriters from the province of Ontario in the year 1971. A few years ago, I tried to track down several of these people. Dave Walden, Lisa Dal-Bello, any names, Johanna van der Clay, that I thought might be familiar to the areas that I remembered them from, and from Toronto, of course, as I say, where David was from and where Lisa got a lot of airplay, of course. And that would have been in 2021, the 50th anniversary. I tried to track down people and had no luck whatsoever. When this band played their final gig in Ontario Place in late August of 1971, my parents and my sister had driven up from Southwest Ontario to see us and to pick me up and transport me home at the end of the summer. And I sat in the motel room while they went to the Canadian National Exhibition, and I cried. at the end of this tour, I knew something special had ended I would never recover and never have a chance to relive. And at the time, I didn't realize that I might not see any of these people again. I did see 2 or 3 of them again, once or twice, briefly, and Dave Walton himself I saw one more time at a reunion we had at his house in Toronto. And I remember at the time, I came back the next day. I think I was staying 2 days and a night and then taking the train home. And I had missed a phone call. There'd been a phone call for me from Miss Sherry Jaycock, who we all know now perhaps better by her single moniker, Sherry, but who was not yet then Sherry, who was then yet Sherry Jaycock, and Dave Walden teased me about her first name. A woman who I lost track with, a woman who at the time I joined, the first band I joined in Toronto, Celebration, she was a friend of those men that were already in that band, and there was a woman as well, the founder and leader's partner. And she and I, Sherry, held the longest conversation on a telephone I have yet to hold with anyone. This is a side note asterisk to this album, ladies and gentlemen. Miss Sherry Jaycock, at over 3 hours, which probably doesn't sound long now in these days, but it felt pretty long at the time, on a corded telephone, sitting at a Formica table that Ralph Cole, the guitar player from Lighthouse, had given the band Celebration, the gospel rock band that I joined after the summer I spent playing with Summer Sound 71. That fall, that late fall, that very early winter, I joined the band Celebration, who were a gospel rock band playing in and around Toronto, and they had just returned from playing a tour of British Columbia and were intending to head back, which indeed they did, and I returned with them, where we spent the first 5 months of 1972 living and working. All of that, ladies and gentlemen, and much, much more came from this experience, Summer Sounds 71. This is the album that documents it. It was a good listen today to listen to it again. Summer Sounds 71 here on Jim's Record Party. I'm your host, James. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for being with us and indulging me. I appreciate it very much. It's been fun. It's been a pleasure. Please join us again next week. Please comment, like, and subscribe on this same station at this same time as we look at more great, rare, classic albums here on Jim's Record Party.